I'm Ed Kelley, editor of the Oklahoman. Glen Ake would make you believe in the death penalty. What he did not quite 32 years ago was commit one of the most horrific crimes in the history of the state up to that time. In cold blood, he and his brother-in-law barged into a home outside Okarche and killed a young minister and his wife and tried to kill their kids. They fled the state, were eventually brought back to Oklahoma, then tried and convicted. Only problem was, Ake never paid with his life for what he did. His accomplice, Stephen Keith Hatch, was executed for his role in the crime, even though Hatch wasn't in the home of Richard and Marilyn Douglas when the shots went off. Hatch was in the getaway car. All the blood that was spilled came from Ake's hands. So Ake, the gunman, escapes the death penalty because of an insanity defense, while Hatch, who wasn't the gunman, didn't. It made no sense, but then what happened to the Douglases made no sense either. I bring this up because Ake died in prison the other day at the age of 55. His death came just a few months after the release of a movie called Heaven's Rain, in which Ake's crime is the storyline. The teenage son of Richard and Marilyn Douglas is now a man in his late 40s. Brooks Douglas wanted to make a movie that chronicled what happened to him and his sister Leslie, and as importantly, what Brooks did that I can't imagine any man ever doing, and that is to tell Ake, years after the killing, that he forgave him for what he did. A disclaimer here. As a young reporter, I covered the crime in 1979 in the initial hearings and trials of Ake and Hatch in El Reno. I watched Brooks Douglas grow up from a 16-year-old without a family into a successful businessman and politician. When he was filming Heaven's Rain, he asked me to play a fictional role of what I really am today, as that of a gray-haired newspaper editor. Glen Ake shouldn't have been allowed to live more than 3 decades after he tried to slaughter the Douglas family. It couldn't have been much of an existence for him languishing in prison, but it was better than he deserved. That he's finally dead doesn't mean justice was done. For Glen Burton, Ake cheated justice, just like he cheated Brooks and Leslie Douglas out of their mom and dad on a dark night 32 years ago.